So let's start talking about some of the data that you prepare so you can run this big sales machine that you have within Mexico. What kind of data do you produce, and how do you bring all that data together?
Yeah, basically it's data related to market and sales, so we can understand how the market is behaving, and it's reviewed in a quarterly basis mainly, but by the end of the year, of every year, we do a whole report of those data.
Okay. And that's used for the principals to give them feedback. It's used for your sales team to identify specific targets. How's it kind of put together and kind of cut for each of the different stakeholders that need it?
It's a good question. Depending on the principal is the information that we prepare in order to provide a report, but also we prepare some strategic information for the sales people. And also in annual basis, we had a sales meeting with all the sales guys here in Guadalajara, and we can share that information to them so they can also understand the important part of that data.
Yeah. So as a principal, I can look at where my market share is changing, but also potentially why you think that market share is changing.
Yeah, of course. Every company has their own strategy in terms of marketing. That is why we need to prepare different kind of reports for each principal so they can understand what they are looking for, basically.
Yeah. And when you look at the reports you've had recently and what you've seen recently, we discussed off camera that we're seeing a trend of more investments from Asian companies, for example. What are the big trends you've seen recently in terms of where investment's coming from, but also where investment's going in terms of the regions in Mexico?
Yeah, it's also a good question, Phil. We have been seeing kind of interesting changes in Mexico since probably the last 3 years. We are noticing more and more Asian companies are doing quite important investment in Mexico, and that basically looks like a holding trend going up. So it looks like this is gonna continue happen. But also the type of products that we are currently producing in Mexico are different than the ones we were producing in the past. I could say from the last 3 years, the market has changed to produce more, we call it retail products. Any product you can buy in a store you can get it from the store shelf. We catalog that kind of products like retail products. That basically that market is around 25% now in Mexico, which is quite big, and maybe the other 25 is now EVs. So everybody knows EVs is a trend globally. We can see it here in Mexico. But I think one of the important part of these changes occurring in Mexico recently is the retail product. We are seeing more and more, and those kind of products are coming from Asia.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because when you look at those markets, they're really almost add-on markets to the traditional Mexican markets that are probably, industrial, medical equipment, perhaps CapEx, generally the traditional automotive sector. Right. So it's really a huge potential for growth. Is that what you see when you look at the numbers? Have the other sectors gone down, or has everything shifted up?
I would say the other sectors, they keep steady. Mm-hmm. They also have some growth, but nothing spectacular. But of course, we used to be a country that traditionally produces products like telecom, industrial, traditional automotive. Now let's say that graph is spread out into more sectors, and the main growth in Mexico, at least 50% of the recent growth, is products that we haven't been producing in the past.
Yeah, and that'll be some of the retail stuff, and of course the EV stuff, which is new business. The other side of that is obviously the investments that are coming in and the growth in terms of capacity. has a bit of a regional variation, and you're able to look at that as well. Which are the regions that are winning at the moment?
For the consumer products or retail products, I would like to say northeast of Mexico is catching a lot of those business. Electrical vehicle is, let's say, spread out, but also the northeast has been growing a lot. The central part of Mexico, what we call Bajío, which it's been traditionally automotive place in Mexico. Now they are starting doing a lot of EVs products as well. And I would like to say areas like Guadalajara continue producing the other stuff like telecom and the traditional Mexican products.
Yeah, because they're full of that business, and that business isn't going away in a hurry. Obviously, all this stuff has an impact on what they buy from you and what they invest in. As you see investment from different regions, they have different favorite group sets of equipment and things. What have you seen in terms of the shift of the CapEx purchase over the last couple of years?
I think it's quite well balanced. I think it's a good business for everybody in Mexico at the moment. I don't see let's say a very well marked trend for one particular technology or brand in Mexico, but I think the growth is being good for everybody locally.
Yeah, and you're seeing obviously growth in terms of capacity, but also growth in terms of automation equipment. So stronger desire for cobotics, stronger desire for conveyors, those kind of things.
Of course, I would like to say many of the assembly lines that are coming from Asia are demanding that kind of particularity, which is high level of automation. And it is not only the robotic part, but also in something as simple as the handling. Yeah. They also are, this part is also changing here in Mexico. Handling is more and more automated now. Yeah.
And that's not just to drive the cost down, but it's also to mitigate shortages of talent, I guess. As you get more companies moving in here, the competition's much higher.
Yeah, I think the main objective is get the people or the label in the point that they produce more value, and leave the machine to do the job, which is simple, you know.
Yeah. And Smartsol, you have over 70 people across numerous sites in Mexico, so you have probably the best visibility into the market anybody has. Would you say that?
Well, I would like to say, I'm not sure if we have the best, but we had a very good perspective of what is going on, because since we have different offices all around the country, and our people is basically touching base with a lot of companies in their region, we can consolidate all that information into quite good source of data, and that is why we can provide very good feedback to our principals mainly.
Yeah, and you can rapidly respond to market shifts and market changes and inform them of them. It's key, and I think if you look back to the early days of Smartsol, you and Ivan and a few others really had your fingers on the pulse and you knew what was happening. Now it's a much bigger business. You need to be a little bit more process driven in how
exactly. As soon as we start having more eyes and ears, we are also able to collect more valuable data.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, all bodes well for continued growth in Mexico, and keep collecting the data and keep talking to us about it. Thanks for your time.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you.